Welcome back, everybody, to the Sick Podcast, Recruits Draftcast. Folks, you've been waiting for this one, and so have we. We have head coach of the Arizona Coyotes, Andre Tourigny, joining us in just a moment. We got a lot to talk about. Obviously, the Yotes are having a heck of a season right now, on the cusp of a playoff spot. We got to talk about that. And Andre is a Hockey Canada legend right at this point. His involvement with the World Juniors is unparalleled, and obviously he just brought back gold with the World Championship, so we'll be talking about that and much more starting right now.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Recruits Draftcast.
And with the first overall selection in the 2023 NHL Draft, the Chicago Blackhawks are very proud to select from the Regina Pats, the Western Hockey League, Connor Bedard.
The sickest NHL draft and scouting podcast. It's gonna be sick.
All right, I am your host, producer Shayne, joined by the fantastic Grant McCagg. Grant, are you as excited as I am?
Yeah, well, if I'm fantastic, you better, I don't know what you're going to use to describe our guest, but
it's going to take too long. Yeah.
Notch above that.
That's it. That's it. So why don't we bring him in? Head coach of the Arizona Coyotes, Mr. Andre Tourigny. Coach, how we doing?
Very good. What about you, gentlemen?
Top shape. Happy to have you. Thanks for taking the time. Means a lot to us. Listen, the Yotes played yesterday. Obviously a tough game against, the finalists, right? The Florida Panthers. But again, you guys hung on to it. A few weeks back there, you played Colorado, and that, man, that was an exciting game. 5-goal comeback against one of the best teams in the league. Listen, this team is on pace for 91 points right now. The best season since you've taken over, right? This is your third season at the helm. So can you walk us through the progression of your team? Like, obviously you've been getting players and developing players. So how has your approach been so far this season compared to the others?
Well, I think we're in a different spot than we were the last 2 years. I think when we started here, Billy was the second year, was my first year. The mandate was to start a rebuild. So we start at that moment. If you remember, we had the Phil Kessel, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Christian Borak, and on and on and on. And we start to trade most of those guys for picks and really taking the long route, because we did not speed up by getting prospect or a player of 21, 22 years old or so on and so forth. We really went with the draft. So we had a small core player already in the organization. We had Keller and Schmaltz and Chikrim inside the Kraus, inside the team, and we had Michelli in the minor. So that's basically what we had. And then we draft the Gunter and the Mosher in the first year, and now we have Doan, who will come from that draft at some point, and others. But Carcone made his way, and we had a few guys who made their way, and we've been patient and actually made a good claim on Ingram, a good claim on Valimaki. Those guys had to our core. But long story short, we started really a deep rebuild 2 years ago. So the first 2 years the plan was really clear by the organization, by Bill, myself. It was accumulating assets and building a culture, a way to do things, a competitiveness level, a structure where the plan was to have that structure when we will have the talent level. We did not want to say, hey, okay, that's the way we play now, but at some point, okay, we become more talented, we'll change things. No, and I'm not talking about system. I'm talking about the way we practice, the way we go about our individual development, the way we work on our in the gym, the way we work on our skill session, so on and so forth. Those kind of things did not change from 2 years ago from this year. Now we knew that the year 3, the goal was to surround our young player who are coming, the Guhle and other guys who are coming, to surround them by other good players. So it started with Sean Dursey, a trade for Sean Dursey, who bring another young guy who had to that core, but bringing guys like Stetcher and Boogie back, Bukestad back, adding to that the Kerfoot and the Zucker. So now we end up having a team with way more depth. Down the road, we had a guy like Jack McBain as well in the trade where we give up a pick to get a Jack McBain. So now we arrive with a good mix of young player who've been, I will say young veteran, who've been through the trenches, really good young player, and other young player who arrived from trade, like I said, McBain and Dursey and the Ingram and the Velimaki. And at that, we had good veterans like Zucker and Kerfoot and those guys. So that was the plan. And I think so far we were hoping to make a step this year. We were hoping, the terminology we use all the time is to play meaningful game. We say we want to be in the situation where we play meaningful game, where at the end of the game, we're not just, if we lose, we're not just mad because we lose. We're mad because that game meant a lot. It's a 2-point we need. And it's a kind of it's an outside pressure, because we all have the pressure of being so competitive. You want to win. You play a ping pong game against your brother, and you want to beat him so bad that if you lose, you lost your temper. So that's competitiveness, But adding that external competition of playing meaningful game, and now having to win. We need to win. I think that's just one of our goals this year, and right now we're on pace to do it. But it's same thing in life everywhere. Like you never satisfied. Now we want more. Now we want to get it done.
That's it. I mean, right now you're only 5th in the Central behind the Nashville Predators, but you have 2 games in hand. So the playoffs are there. Like you can say it, you can dream it, you can believe it. And so where that leads me is Mullet Arena, right? Like that is a place where I need to go see a game there one day. It's such a unique environment, and having a playoff game there has to be something special. I can't wait to see that happen. But I'm curious for you how it is coaching in that environment. Like it's so private, but again, it's like it's amplified. It feels like it feels awesome. Yeah.
I think you said it perfectly. That's exactly what it is. And I have friends from Quebec or Montreal who come to see our game, and they have a different idea. They think, it's a small building, it won't be the same. And when they are after the game, they're all kind of, wow, that's amazing. The atmosphere, there's emotion and everything. I remember when I was in junior, we're playing in the Calzi Pepsi in Quebec. There were 10,000 people, but the building could hold 14. It was cool. Well, when we were in Rouen, and it was a 2,800 seat, and there were 3,200 in the building, that was unbelievable. You felt they were all on the ice. They were all pushing. There was so much emotion. They were on top of the game. So it was more intimidating at the Ham Goal Arena than it was in the Calzi Pepsi. But there were a huge difference in the crowd. But it's just the people in the house who make the difference, and when it's really tight like that. Having that said, we all know we need a new building, and we need to have the revenue who go with the NHL team. We're not hiding ourselves from that, but for the player and the coaches, the atmosphere and the ambience at the Mullet, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I could bet. Grant, take it away. I know you got a lot of burning questions there.
So speaking of Phoenix, I guess you must have spent Christmas in Phoenix then.
Yeah.
You were playing at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you have White Christmas on repeat, or are you used to?
No, I'm used to having the third one, so I'm used to. I know snow at Christmas, but it's a pretty good spot to live. I can tell you that.
Yeah. How many of the Tourigny clan were in Phoenix?
All my kids, my GP Felix and Leah were with me with Melanie. So All the crew were here, so that I was lucky in that sense. They flew back on the 26th. Those are my parents, their parents, and all of it. But I had all my kids and my wife with me.
Nice. Right on. We well, I mean, it's World Junior time, right? So we're going to kind of focus on that a bit. But I had a look, and we're going to bring up a graphic here of all of the times that you've coached for Hockey Canada. 16 times, Andre.
There's a lot.
Starting in 06, 07, Canada Winter Games.
Exactly.
All-Star Challenge. You did a few of those.
Yeah.
You know, then your first Olympia as an assistant coach in 08, 09. I mean, you go down that list. That's it's a miracle you're still married, sir.
Yeah. She's a saint. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's good for the list there. But
hey,
you can tell by that list that you
one Greg Grant by that. If you look the dates, my second Canada Winter Game.
Put it back up.
It's on February and March 2003. My daughter is born on February 28th. 2003. So I was there was the starting face-off at the semifinal against Ontario. She's born at one.
Wow.
Exactly. So I wasn't there. So I'm not. It's not a pride moment. I'm just saying when you say about my wife, there's a background story on that. There's more than just I wasn't there in the sense of my wife was due 3 weeks later. And that's where we took decision at the time. I was just a young coach starting, and she told me, "No, you have to go. It's a great experience, and go in." The way it happened, Leah was a little bit ahead of her time, so it happened and I was in Campbellton, New Brunswick. I had no time to get back home, so that's just the way it happened. So, but when you talk about how much my wife should have credit.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, well, and sorry, was that 03 or 13?
03.
So that wasn't even on that list there. So 17 times.
Here we go.
So you coached at 3 Canada Winter Games?
2. I coached in 7.
Oh, 2. Okay.
7.
Okay.
First one, 03, and then I coached in 07.
You must look like, I mean, I started going through some of the rosters, and there's got to be 50 plus NHLers that you coached at some point or another, right?
Oh, yeah. At least 50 for sure. I have.
Yeah, it might be close to 100.
Oh, yeah. So there's a lot. Yeah.
So,
almost
Bill,
15 guys per team, basically. They're NHLer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Bill must pick your brain a lot when it comes to player evaluation stuff, because you coach so many of these guys, right?
Yeah, I coach.
When he goes to make a trade.
Yeah, I know a lot about them. I know their family. I know their brothers, their sisters. So I know a lot about those guys, not just as a player, because a player will progress or will not. You get better or you get worse. You know what I mean? So at some point, the guy I saw 5 years ago, it's like I always say, the draft is one day. You're get draft on June 24th, 2019. Well, you're not the same player than the day of your draft. The draft, maybe you were the 20th best player in the world. Now you may be the 5th, or you may be the 100th. The draft is only one day. That's because the player, they get better or they get worse. So for when we talk about player evaluation, I cannot say, hey, this guy, that's what he is. Example, when I started for Hockey Canada, I was at the U18 in Dallas, and we had players there, the Stankoven and the Roulette and the Shayne Wright. Well, they're not the same player than they were then. Some are better, some are worse. So I think I cannot follow the progression of those guys. But if you talk to me about what kind of kid, what kind of character, what kind of work ethic he has, that I know.
Yeah. When a player doesn't develop, like I say, somebody or it's picked in the top 10 or whatever, and he doesn't pan out, he doesn't meet expectations, the organization, the coaches, the player development, and in particular the scouts usually get blamed for that player not developing. And not very often the player actually takes some of the blame, I mean, they have to do the work. You can tell them to do it, but
it's a big question of personality, character, how much you want it. It's not a straight line race to get to make it, to get better. You really must want it, and you need to, the sacrifice of some athletes do. It's not everybody who can do that. I have to be honest. I don't know as an athlete when I was young if I will have been able to do all the sacrifice of Clayton Keller does.
Yeah,
Spending 3-4 times a day with a yoga here, a therapist there, this and that, and a nutritionist to tell him what to eat, when to eat, and how much to eat, and everything. I'm not sure I have that discipline, to be honest. I like to work, but I like to work in my field of expertise. I don't know if I could do that. I'm not saying I will not. I will give a shot at it for sure, but how much I will stay with it for 10 years, 15 years, it's an achievement just by itself. You look at Brendan Gallagher's career and everything he's going through and everything. People say, "Oh yeah, he's well paid." It's not. There's nothing that doesn't give you the motivation. Okay, it's good, but you still have to give him credit for the effort he does on a daily basis to stay at that level with the pace he play and all of it. So I think it's Brendan Gallagher's 4th, 5th round pick. I think it's 5th round pick. There's a lot of guys who were better than him then, who, because of the way he prepared, the way he trained, the way his determination, there's a lot of guys before him who were not willing to pay that price, who were not willing to make all those sacrifices, who were not willing to get a shot in the face and be back on the next shift. Some guys then they did not want to go to that anymore, and it's just human. And can we blame them? I don't know, but one thing is sure, we have to give credit to the guy who really dig in and keep going and work hard and sacrifice off ice and on ice to achieve what he achieved. So it's tough to predict who will really stay with it when he will get punched in the face. When you get punched in the face, you need to keep moving forward. It's not the same. Giving punch, it's pretty easy. Receiving it, that's another thing. It's the same thing.
Like Mike Tyson once said, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And, it's the same thing for a player. I did that exercise every year when I was in junior grant. I was at a little bit after Christmas, after the trade deadline, I was taking the list of the last year, the top 30 scorer in the league. And I was taking all in the 30, all the 19 and 20 years old who are now in the AHL. So we all talk about junior player who were 90.85 to 90 point plus guy. Okay. Now they're playing AHL or NHL. There's an elite group, and I was calling them the world junior player. There's the example, if you look at this year, the Stankoven who play in the AHL, the Dylan Gunter, the whatever who was in the World Junior last year, who now play in the AHL. Those guys, they make point in the AHL. They're a good player. They're most of them, I will say.
Right. Most
of them. And I was taking all the other guy, and I was showing at our guys who were an 80-point guy right now as a 20 years old or 19 years old. I was saying next year, when you will play AHL, after 30 games, you will have 1 goal and 3 assists. Exactly like this guy who has 120 points in the league last year. And they're, this guy doesn't play power play anymore. He doesn't play with the best player. He's playing on the 4th line. He needs to block shot. He needs to back check. He needs to be – his shift are not 50, 55 seconds. Now he's on the ice for 30 seconds at a time. And he needs to change because the big boy are coming. He doesn't take face-off in the O zone anymore. It's all this face-off on neutral zone or in D zone. There's no more O zone face-off because the big boy, you're taking it. So that's you next year. And they all kind of, Over here. That's exactly what will happen. So now you think, oh, I'm an elite junior player in next year. No, next year you're back in the grind, Johnny. You will have to make your way up. You will be scratched. You will miss game.
Mm-hmm.
You will be barked at by the coach in practice. You will struggle to play in the structure because it will be a brand new structure. And if you're not in the structure by that much, the coach will give it to you, which now as an overage, you're making 2 points a game. You have a free pass and a mulligan every game. That's done. You won't have your mulligan anymore next year when you will play. And that's a big shock. So now when that happened, we talk about development here. Who will keep going?
Yeah.
Who will keep going? That's the question. That's the punch in the face we're talking about. Okay, now we'll get punched in the face. Who keep going? Who keep going? And you look at it, like example, Maverick Bourque, his first year in the AHL, just okay. He kept going. He got punched in the face. He kept going, and look at him this year. It's fantastic. There's other guy like that. You can name plenty of those guys. That's the difference. If at the draft we could know who will keep going when we got punched in the face, what will be much better scout.
Yeah. Yeah. That whole time that you're making that conversation, there was a player in my head that I was thinking of, Guy Carbonneau.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
He was a 160 point scorer.
Yeah, exactly.
He wasn't going to be top 2 center in Montreal.
Yeah.
He had to diversify his game, and
exactly. And there's a lot of those guys are offensive defensemen in junior. They play power play, and that's when their season as a 19 years old overage end. That's the last power play shift he made in his life.
Yeah, yeah.
He will not play power play in the AHL. Neither, if he makes the NHL, will not play power play anymore. That's just a reality. So how will you adapt to that? You know, that because I met a lot of my former player, and they always say, "Oh, I did not have my chance. They didn't give me a chance." Oh, that's not the way it is. You need to earn your opportunity, and when you get punched in the face, you need to keep going, and then maybe you will earn an opportunity. It's like I said every time I was junior, I was meeting with parents. There's no such thing than having a chance.
Yeah,
it's having an opportunity. There's no luck in it. There's no luck.
Yeah,
you need to earn an opportunity, and when you have an opportunity, don't miss it, because you don't know when there will be the next one. So,
yeah,
that's part of the development.
I was looking. You've coached a lot of former Habs and current Habs, and Louis LeBlanc. I remember when I first got into scouting with McKean's, it was 07 or so. But I got to, I used to call you up. You were GM, and you were you were great to talk to. You and Guy Boucher both. But I remember in LeBlanc's draft year, and talked about how competitive he was, and that was what was going to, make him a good NHL player. And I mean, Montreal picked him. Sure, there was some pressure to pick the French Canadian, right? Yeah. Montreal. The draft was in Montreal, but I mean, even I remember Bob McKenzie saying this could be a steal of the draft. He had him top 14. Everything is competitiveness was what everyone talked about. Yeah. So I thought, and everyone thought, this kid would be a gym rat, that he'd put on 30 pounds that he needed to put on, that, it didn't turn out that way. Now, for whatever reasons, the organization gets blamed for bringing him back to junior. He should have stayed at Harvard, or he should have never gone to Harvard, or he should have done this or that. But some of it has to be on him,
For me, it's all on him.
Right.
That doesn't mean, okay, if your route has no roadblock and no challenge, is it normal? Who has a path where never had adversity? And super success. Steve Jobs went bankrupt, for Christ's sake. What I mean? It's adversity is part of the journey. And if you cannot go through the adversity, not just survive it, but strive with adversity. But don't blame anybody because you had adversity. Adversity is part of life. It's not a bad luck. No, it's life. It's just the way it is. I think I've been really lucky and been in the right place at the right time throughout my career. But at the same time, did I had adversity? Oh yeah, I did. Did I lose sleep? A lot. Did I had to battle through? Yes. I don't say I achieved a lot. I did not achieve anything yet, but what I had is not because I did not have adversity. It's not a race of who's running straight line for the longest without having adversity. That's not what life is. There's hurdle everywhere, roadblock, and you need to go through and live with it and battle through and keep moving forward. And if I have that discussion a million times when people say, "Oh, I was not lucky. I didn't have my chance." You didn't earn it. It's not. Don't blame anybody. That's
yeah.
And having that said, some they have to face more adversity than others. I agree with that. I'm not saying it's not true, but still, it's how you react to adversity. It's not how you fall. It's not how many times you fall. It's how you get up.
Yeah. You coached LeBlanc 3 or 4 times, like whether it be the, that Super Series or I think Halenka.
Yeah.
I believe you might have.
Team Quebec U17. I coached him at the Linka, coach him at the World Junior Super Series.
Okay. What do you think ended up being his downfall?
Well, his decision-making process was a little bit behind. I think he had good skill. I think he was a competitive player. He had good speed. He never fill up in terms of weight. I agree with that. But I think his decision-making process was a little bit behind.
Okay. I just, the part that I think he just never, we thought that he'd become a gym rat and he didn't. And I mean, you can only blame the development coaches and the scouting staff and so much, I mean, everyone that I talked to, and I interviewed a lot of people, thought that he'd do the work.
Don't blame the restaurant because you don't order the right meal.
Right.
That's for me. I can bring you to the gym. I cannot do the work for you.
No, there you go.
There's no chance.
Yeah. So, did you watch the quarterfinal game against Czechia?
Yeah. I did.
I mean, you've been there, right?
It's easy.
It's
always easy from the outside. It's always easy from the outside to have an opinion, and you should have done this. They should have played him. They should have done whatever. You don't know when you're not inside. You don't know. So
yeah, a couple of goals go in the first period that maybe whatever.
Exactly.
And it's tough. Like Czechia blocked. I don't know how many shots they played. They played kitty by the door. They were tough. It was tough to break through, and a good goalie. And
what happened?
We're in trouble.
What happened last year in the quarterfinal? Do you remember?
Against Slovakia?
Yeah. It's
Same
overtime.
Thing.
It's overtime, and it's Connor Bedard made an unbelievable play in the score and bring the game in overtime, and they score. They could have. Yep. It's the same thing. They could have lost that game, and now we say, "Oh, it's terrible."
Yeah.
That's Grant. When I'm in charge with Hockey Canada, my first meeting is always about that. It was like that last year, the World Championship. The player and the coaches, we met in Budapest, and my first meeting is always about you have no clue how tough it is to win at the international level. And I had a few guys, Lucic and other guys. I had 4 guys. I picked 4 guys. I want you to say the story who you remember the most about Team Canada. Either you were part of it or something in history where for you that's what Team Canada is or whatever. And I had Scott Salmon and another guy talk about his best experience as well. And when they finished, I said, I said to the guys, what all those stories had in common? And there's a guy who pick up right away. Every time it's almost a miracle. every time it was every gold medal I had, and I have, I should say. It's I can talk about it for an hour because it's unreal. It's impossible. I won the World Championship 2 years ago. We lost the first 3 games of the tournament.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
We were done. Then we win the next 3, and now we're kind of saying, okay, if we win that 4th one, this team has to beat this team, lose this team. We're kind of, it's almost impossible. Then we lost this game in overtime. So now we're kind of, okay, we're done. We go back at the hotel and, sorry guys. Oh, boy. We go back at the hotel and this team beat this team. And, okay, now it's 3-3 at the end of the game. And I don't remember. I think Kazakhstan has to score. Kazakhstan score. We're kind of, listen, now we're on paper. We're looking. If that game stay like that the next 2 minutes, we're making it. And then we make it against Russia, where they just received Tarasenko, Orlov, Bobrovsky. They all have their guy. We're in the bubble, and we have nobody's coming. Then Stetcher make the move between his leg in overtime, feed Majopani backdoor. We score. Kemper was unbelievable. It's crazy. We won that game. Then the U.S. kick our butt during the pre-tournament. We played them in the semifinal. For whatever reason, they didn't play well. They didn't show up. We beat them. Okay, now we go against Finland. Overtime, we score in a 2-1, whatever. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable when that tournament. And then when it won the World Junior, we hit the TSN camera where we're already down at 6-4 against Russia. We hit the TSN camera.
That's right.
If not, we're getting down at 6-3 against the best power play in the tournament for a full ball for 1:40. And if they score on the 6-3, then they have a chance to score again on the power play. The best power play in the tournament. Instead of that, there's no penalty because they hit the camera. They throw their stick, they take a penalty, then they take another one right away after. We end up being at 5-3. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. Yeah. It's impossible. And then I can go like that. And all the story. The win, it's a miracle.
Those puck over glasses there's been a few moments like that. Shayne, I think, has something that might jog your memory there.
Nice little catch. Let's take a look at this.
Yeah. You remember this, Andre?
Yeah, I did. I did.
You know, if you don't catch that and you guys get the puck over glass, do you win the gold that year? You know,
maybe not. I remember because that's at the end of the game. It's 4-3 game, and they have 3 goals already on the power play. I'm running the PK, so I'm so nervous. It's 5-4, and I'm just thinking we cannot have another PK because their power play was running over us, and we didn't get the PK obviously, and we won the game, and the rest of the story. But even in that tournament, we lost 6-0 against Russia in the preliminary round. It's the worst loss in the history of Canada at the World Junior. And we won the gold. Nobody remember that. But I remember after the game against Russia, you talk about adversity. We lost 6-0 against Russia. Our captain, Barrett Ayton, forgot to take his helmet off during the Russian national anthem. It made a huge bomb. It was an international event and controversy. Alexis Lafreniere got hurt.
Yeah.
Was out. And we had another guy who had a butt head with someone. I don't remember. But we had a suspension in the same game. When you talk about getting punched in the face, we got punched in the face pretty hard. We just kept going. So the Canada lost that game 3-2. They could have won in overtime. They could have won 3-2 and win the tournament. That's how tight is that tournament.
Mm-hmm. Now, right there, did you take a bite out of the puck, or what's going on?
No, but I didn't know I didn't want to keep it in my hands because I say if I throw it on the ice, they may think it hit something. So I kept it in my hand. But I was kind of, don't give us a penalty. Don't give us a penalty. I got the puck. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I was nervous.
I mean, we all know about Tom Brady turning down the contract with the Expos and going on to become, Hall of Fame quarterback. Did the Expos, when you were a kid, did you turn down a contract with the Expos or what? I mean, you got great mitts there, Andre.
I will have not turned down the contract. I love baseball a lot. I will have loved to. I was not just good enough.
Were you an Expos fan growing up?
Yeah, oh yeah. I can do the lineup, the A to Z from 92 on. I went before the Lionel the Shields trade and after.
Yeah. So you made an exception for the Expos, but not for the Canadians. Eh? You were a Nordique fan.
Yes, I was a Nordic fan. Absolutely. Absolutely. I like the controversy.
Now getting back to the last year, the best player on Canada was a 17-year-old, Bedard.
Yep.
This year, the best player was a 17-year-old Celebrini. If there's anything that this team seemed to lack, might have been a bit more skill. I mean, we always, as Canadians, when we lose, we always try to come up with reasons why, right? I mean, it's just natural. But with young players developing so much sooner, it seems like, I mean, when we were kids, when I was 17, none of us were NHL ready, right? You know what I mean? Times have changed. And they're getting more prepared and better at a younger age. I just question why, like you see last year, Sandin Palika, as a 17-year-old, was one of Sweden's better defensemen. Dvorsky was one of the better players in the tournament last year at 17. Guys that were picked after the top 5. There were a couple of kids that I was surprised that weren't at least invited to the camp this year in Dickinson and Lindstrom. I mean, in my mind, they could have used a 6'5" kid that can skate like Lindstrom, that's got a goal a game in the WHL, that's outplaying Danielson this year, and a bunch of guys that got picked to the team. But there seems to be this, well, we can take one 17-year-old and that's it. We can't take two, or we can't take more than one, no matter how, if we're lacking a little bit of talent or not. It's one 17-year-old, and, doesn't matter if there's 3 or 4 that it could at least be invited to camp. And if they're not good enough, fine, you cut them at camp. But can you not?
No, I disagree with you. I disagree with you.
Okay, perfect.
I disagree with you. I think when there's more invite. Shayne Wright and Connor Bedard both been invite, right? And both been in the team 2 years ago. So I think it's if there's there will be. That's one. 2, I think it's still a 19 years old tournament. Who scored a goal when we won in 2020? Akil Thomas. Akil Thomas was 19 years old.
Yeah.
Who scored the winning? And he was a depth player at the time, Akil. And the year before was his name? Singan Tyler? Not Singan Tyler. Whatever was his name? At number 21, whatever. It's another 19 years old who was not playing a lot. That is A. B, you can say, oh, this guy versus Danielson or versus, okay, that's your evaluation. But I think there's a lot of good people who evaluate player. And at the end of the day, whoever is the last cut, and whoever make the last cut, the gap between the last guy invite and the last guy who make the camp is that big.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing for the Olympic team, for the Junior B in Canada, for the national women team is the same. The last player who made the team and the last player, or the last player who got caught. That's that big. I was coaching my son in Pee Wee Double B, and when we made the team, it was a terrible extremely tough decision to figure it out who was the last forward, make it or not. Every time as it was with the World Junior was the same. Hey, we cut Tyler Seguin, Taylor Hall, Matt Duchene. I can name probably 50 NHL players we cut, who they're all great players. But at that moment, for what the team needed.
No, I get that. I'm saying right now, I think Lindstrom's a better player than Danielson. I'm not saying, oh, well, I think he'll go higher in the draft, so he should be playing there. I think he's playing better than Danielson this year. I mean, it's not even close for me. But I've watched a lot of, and Shayne Wright was not in his draft year last year. So it was only Bedard Bedard was the only 17-year-old invited.
No, but the year before,
Shayne Wright didn't play at the World Juniors in his draft year.
The COVID year, Bedard did
no, there was no World Junior.
But they were one. They canceled it, but they started, right?
Mm-hmm. No, right. But I mean, he didn't play, like they didn't, Yeah. I mean,
but my point.
There's never more than one. There's never more than one guy invited. It's like we can only invite one. Like, at least invite the guys. And if they're not good enough, fine. But I would have a hard time believing that if Lindstrom would have been at Cap and Dickinson, that they wouldn't have been on the team and that they wouldn't have contributed. And I mean, that's my opinion. And I get what you're saying. But why do you not even invite these guys?
I will say this, man. If you were making the team, you will have a last cut. And you will have someone on the podcast somewhere who will say, why the hell did this guy did not bring this guy?
Right. No, that's fine.
So for me,
that's fine.
And I don't know who's the other guy. I just think at some point there's a line who has to be drawn, and we need to trust the people who are in charge of the program. And if we don't, they will be replaced. Because
there was no head scout this year. So who's in charge? Who was in charge? Somebody was asking me the other day.
Peter in a hole.
But they didn't have a head scout. Hockey Canada this year make cuts, I guess. Do you agree with them not having summer camps and not going to the World Summer Showcase? Does that not put them a step behind the other teams when it comes to the World Junior?
Big time. But why that happened? Everybody, here we open a can of worms.
Right.
I will stay away from that, but that's what people want.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that. I was just saying that. That's what people want, because they want the Hockey Canada to put money somewhere else. So that's what they did. So hang on, it's not over. It's not over. If we cut in the national program, don't come and lie on the result of the national program and cry about the national program result.
Right.
If we don't have the summer camp and the U18 and the under 17 summer camp and all of it, because we want to put the money elsewhere, it's fine, but live with it.
Right. Well, I put a little more blame on Hockey Canada than I do on the players or the coaches for not doing as well as they could this year. And I talk about it in a podcast earlier today. I sent you an email about this and you didn't respond, and that's fine. But I don't understand why the money wasn't there, even if you support the women's program more. Like, other countries are supporting the women's program and the men's program. How come these European countries can afford to send teams to the World Summer Showcase and have a summer camp, and they don't have the World Juniors every 2 years, filling the buildings, charging $100 plus a ticket, 18,000, where's all the, how come there's not enough money for a World Junior camp right now? I don't understand, I don't understand why there seems to be some mismanagement there.
From who?
From Hockey Canada.
Who's Hockey Canada? There's
that's it. I don't know.
There's one more than one entity. There's the high performance program. They don't decide the budget. They get the budget.
Right.
So,
no, I don't know. And I mean, is there how much accountability is there for all this? it seems like there's a lot hazy. We don't have the answers to a lot of these things. Where does all this money go?
I cannot answer publicly. I know where
right. Well,
they go with when the people want the money go.
Yeah, well, I know it's not your position to.
No, but Gren, that's the thing. It's been made public when they asked the question, "What's the split?" Hockey Canada answered, and everybody pushed that under the rug because that was not the answer they were expecting and they wanted to hear.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think Hockey Canada, for my view, they do a phenomenal job to provide the professional environment for the woman and for the men. But I will be honest, I'm not aware of what it's done for the woman. I have to be honest. I think I trust the people in charge. I think Gina Kingsbury and Scott Salmon are phenomenal. I had the chance to work with them. They're phenomenal. I think I'm not aware of what happened in the last year and a half or two, whatever, since the crisis happened and all of it. So I don't know about where's the money goes. I said to you, I said, I don't know where the money goes. I don't know where's the people want. I will be honest. I was disappointed when I saw the summer program were cut for Hockey Canada because I'm a big fan. I'm a fan of the program. Having that said, do I trust the leadership of the people in place? No doubt about it. Scott Salmon is second to none, and I know he cares really, really much about the player and the people in place. So I know I trust him, but why that decision has been made, I don't know. I never had that discussion with them. I don't know. And I hear your point when you say, I would like to know. I'm with you. If you have that discussion with someone, call me because I want to know as well. I don't know. And I know how much they care and how much they want that program to be successful and how much they want the woman to win world championship and gold medal and all of it, as much as they want the U18 and the U17 and the U20 and the men's world to be successful. It makes no doubt. I think, do they make mistake? I assume they do because I make mistake every day. Everybody in the world make mistake. Are they perfect? No. Scott Salmon used to say, we're the program of excellence. We're not the program of perfection.
And I'm not trying to point fingers at any specific people or departments. It's like I don't know how it's decided that, like, who decides that there's not going to be I don't know. A camp in the summer and
what I meant before, Grant, is I know when you say, well, what happened? My point was they were cut in the budget because of what happened in the last year too. So I don't know what's exactly the impact. If they had no camp during the summer, my point is it's because there were budget restriction. Why? I don't know. That I don't know. I assume the best of the people who were there, and I trust them, like I said.
Yeah.
Why it happened, how it happened, I don't know. But I just know it's a matter of budget. So that's what I say. That's what the people wanted, in a sense of that's the budget cut happened because of all the crisis happened there.
Right. I just, I mean, all these European teams can afford to send teams have their summer camps and send them over to North America. We don't even have to, we just have to go to a place in North America for the summer showcase.
But it's
very discouraging that they don't have the money in the budget. I haven't heard a reason why.
Yeah, but if I'm not mistaken, it's the first year. This year did not happen, right?
No, they didn't. They weren't at the summer showcase last year either.
But they had a summer camp, did they? No.
I don't know if they had a summer camp, but they didn't go in the summer showcase, and that to me that gives a step up to all these other teams. I mean, these guys have played together,
But I just want to say, if there's not only one way to do things, the summer showcase is not the only way.
No.
If they do something else and whatever, Calgary, Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, whatever, and they gather all those guys together and they do a camp. Either they play against each other or against university or whatever. I don't know, but there's more than one way to do a camp. It's not just by going to the summer showcase.
No, it's more the not getting together at all in the summer. You know,
I agree with you. I agree with you. If I was the coach, Grant, I will have for sure say my piece on that, and I will have voted for having a summer camp. It's a huge advantage. There's no doubt about it. It's
the U.S. team. The U.S. team has guys that have played together, played together 100 games together, 15 of them. And Canada had one returning player who played 2 games in the World Junior. They had no camp together. It's just basically just an all-star team thrown together at the last minute and expect to win. I mean, it was a tall order. And you mentioned all about how hard it is to win, even with a team that's prepared and played together and, has some chemistry. Yeah. I mean, that was.
There's no doubt. I always think we build our team in those tournaments to be good in the second half of the tournament because we need to build that chemistry. And yes, we have the summer camp, and we have before we had, if you remember, the Subway Series against the Russian, they were coming, and that was giving us a little bit of a hedge. And then we had our selection camp and the prep camp, and then the competition, and we felt we were arriving in the medal round ready. Or as ready as we could be. If you say we cut a few steps along the way, for sure it's probably not perfect. I'm sure that I know for a fact the people in there, they surely work at solution and how they can make it happen.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Now you've been assistant many times with Hockey Canada, and just talk a little bit about the influences, the different coaches that you've worked with, and how it's maybe helped shape you as a coach today.
Huge, Grant, huge. I have from Willie Desjardins, Dave Cameron, Steve Spott, then Gerard Galland and Claude Julien, and I had Dale Hunter.
Dale Hunter.
Absolutely, Dale. I learned a lot from all of them. I think that is just naming the head coach, because I had the Mitch Love and the Michael Dick and plenty of other guys, George Burnett and other guys who are really, really good coach who I learned from those guys. So I think that was always, people ask me a lot, why you always go, it's university on steroids for a coach. You go there with the best coach in the W, best coach in the O, best coach in the Q, and you sit together for a month and you talk hockey. How can we solve that problem? What can we do here in that situation? How you talk about that situation? How you manage this guy? How you get this guy over the hump? This and that. You learn a million things. Plus, you look at other country, how they do their things, and you learn from them. And you sit with guy like Al Miller or Scott Salmon or all those guys. Al Murray when he was on Chief Scout. You talk hockey with those guys and you learn about player evaluation, about team chemistry, about plenty of. Scott Salmon can write a book about team builder and how create a feeling of belonging and this and that. You learn so much from those guys. I think it's a privilege.
Yeah. Now the 2021 World Junior team. There's 4 current Canadians on that you had on that team. Just wanted to ask you about them a little bit here. Caden Guhle. Now I know I talked to you and I was trying, thought he might be named the captain the next year, and you just mentioned at the time that he was pretty quiet, and that a quiet leader, right? But he ended up being named the coach the captain the next year. And he's a quiet leader. I described him a bit like Shea Weber, where you don't necessarily say a lot, but he's well respected. What do you see his ultimate upside here at the NHL level as?
In terms of
do you think he can be a first pairing guy?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is for me. He's a full package for me. He hit hard. He's mean. He skates really well. He has a good hockey sense. He has good first pass. He's not a quarterback like Brian Leach, but he's a guy who moved the puck well. And he's, if you look the game now in our day and age, there's the kind of there's a 2023 version of a shutdown D, because a shutdown D now needs to make pass and needs to make plays, and that's exactly what he is. I think he's a really good player.
And Justin, you just like you were in Halifax, right?
Yeah.
And he was just coming up just as you were leaving, and then but then you ended up getting to coach him a couple times.
Yeah.
Just what do you think he still needs to work on in his game? But do you see him as a a top 4 defenseman if he reaches his full potential?
If he reaches full potential, yeah, but he needs to work on his. In my opinion, he's a really good skater. He has a really good skill, move the puck well. The game has to slow down a little bit for him, which the experience will bring that. I think it's the quickness of his decision offensively and defensively. But he's such a great guy. He's such an unbelievable person. I think I wish him all just good thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the Newfie, we got to bring up Alex Newhook.
And he's quick. Yeah, he has good feet. He can jump into play. He has a quick hands as well. I think his experience in Colorado, he played with a lot of pace there. I think he had a good. I didn't follow this year the start of the season, but I think he had a good stretches before he got hurt. Too bad he got hurt. He's such a great guy as well. When in the room, he's well liked by everybody.
Yeah, and then Kirby Dach. Well, you had him. He had a bit of a reputation in his draft year as like you heard things about him being maybe a little immature and selfish and stuff. You had a different experience with him.
That's exactly. I hear you when you say about his reputation, because when I got the U18, he went as an underage with the U18 at the end of the season, and then we had at the Linka, and I heard about his reputation, and people warned me. And first meeting I had with Docker, I told him we didn't want player who were flexible. We didn't want a player who were going at the net. We didn't want. We may use him on the wing, which he see himself as a center, because we had overflow of. Yeah, no problem, coach. I was kind of okay. That's not what I heard. That's not what I was expecting. They never had one time with Docker where he was kind of I won't say not respectful, but not even discussion or whatever I asked him. He was the guy who was finishing his hit. He was going in the net. He was not playing a half wall on the power play. Was playing net front. No problem, coach. Whatever I wanted, he did it. It was really important for us. He played a big role. He was playing with Cousin and Laugh. No, he was playing with who was in the middle? Was it Cuzzy? Yeah, it was Cuzzy. It was Cousin and Alexis Lafreniere and at the Linka, and they were not a boo about that guy. And then the following time I had him at the World Junior, he was my captain until he got hurt again. People will remember we had a camp and we said to the guys, hey, practice at 9. We'll start before 9. Just make sure you're not late because we're starting. And he arrived at 9 on the nose, and I told him to wait on the bench, and I went to see him. And I told him it was him and Cousin. And I told them at that point, I said, hey, as a leader,
right,
what you want me to do? You want me to let you go on the ice? You join the practice. All your teammates will see that. And that will set the standard for the rest of the tournament. Or you're taking the bullet. You're not coming on the ice. And that set the message for everybody how we will run our thing here. I barely had time to finish my sentence because Docker answered right away. The right thing to do for the team is to not go on the ice. And the TSN was there. So I tell them, I said, hey, if you do that, those guys will go at you. They did not wave, both of them. And they were not happy. They were not happy. But at the same time, I said, listen, you have the choice. I will respect your decision. They didn't go on the ice. Is that character then? Who will have taken the bullet like that? Those two guys take the bullet. And that's why at the end of the practice, I brought them back and I explained to the group, I said, those guys choose to take the bullet because they want that team to do the right thing. So I said, that's leadership, gentlemen. And the next practice, they were on the ice for something like 20 minutes before the practice. That was pretty funny. But long story short, that's character. When you hear all the rumor you and I heard, Grant, for me, it's almost impossible because everything I live with Doctor is the reverse. I was saying, this guy's tuned in. This guy wants to be a hockey player.
I see it in his defensive play. He gets back deep, and he's a really good defensive centerman. He's going to be.
If he can improve his face-off, if he can find a way to win a face-off once in a while, that will help. I like Doctor a lot, and he's big. He has a good stick. He can move the puck. He can go with the net. I like him a lot. He just needs to stay healthy and improve his face-off.
Yeah, dropped his gloves a couple times, and he can handle himself as well.
He has character.
No, hopefully he rebounds okay from that injury. There's a 5-year rule of thumb for prospects that that scouts say that you can't. Like Barrett Hayton, it's a good example where you have to be patient with. Not everybody develops at the same time, blossoms at the same time. And I mean, scouts knew that at the time with Hayton. They said it's going to take him some time. He's going to have to improve his skating, learn, some things. I mean, playing a top 2 center role at the NHL level, you know darn well, Andre, that before the age of 22, there aren't too many guys that can do it, right? And so, do you agree with that you don't? I mean, we're seeing it with Guhle and Slafkovsky, right? People already saying this or that, or what came up, what the Arizona, the social media, the Twitter account put up that you must have seen that where they're saying that.
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Well, it was about Canadians picked Slafkovsky, and where it's apparently like just because Guhle outplayed him in one game in their first year in the NHL, darn well, right, that you don't judge a prospect 2 years after he was drafted.
That's why I'm not on social media, Grant. That's just whatever. There's not only one way to get to destination. There's some people get their roadblock early. Some get it a little bit later in their career. Galchenyuk scored 30 goals. I think it's third or fourth year in the league, and now he's not in the league anymore. So there's just stay cool, stay with it, stay patient, and keep moving forward no matter what. And you will become the player you have to become. I think that's just the way it is. I think you don't draft for next year.
No.
You don't.
Lawson Crouse. Like how long did
Lawson Crouse took long. Barrett Hayton took long. If they take the phone and they call us about it, I hope Billy will not even talk to me about it. It's not happening in my book. So chill out. Let the time. At some point, you can make an assessment on the player when the players stop progressing, and that happened. That has to happen. I won't say Sidney Crosby still progressing. Come on, at some point it stopped. The progression stopped. So then you can make an assessment. Okay, that's what he is, and even then, it's not. Let's say I hit my full potential and I score 40 goals. Well, I won't score 40 every year from now on. I will have a year 40. Next year I will score 24. Next year 32, and then I might score 40 again. That's just the way it is. There's a few bounce. 3 empty net one year, none in the following year, and this and that, and that make a difference. Our power play was top 5 in the league last year. This year, it's bottom 5. Whoop, that's not the same cookie on the side of the net. That's not the same. So it's not a straight line. But at some point, you can see a player. Okay, now it's 2 years or 3 years of about the same. So that's what he is. Now we can make an assessment of what's what he is. Some guys will take 3, 4, 5 years. Some guys will take longer. I think Crosser took longer, but he's a hell of a player. Now it's the third year in a row. He's a really good player. So we can say, okay, that's what he is. That's what he is. So now I'm not thinking next year. I don't know what Crosser will bring. I pretty good idea that that's what he is. You know what I mean? Which not Guhle. I don't know exactly what was the ceiling. I know he has a higher ceiling. I know he's keep getting better. It's the same thing for Michelli. Michelli is a better player this year than last year, and he keep getting better, etc. But Keller, okay, now it's the third year. Now that's what he is. You know, I'm not at all. Yeah, at some point you arrive at an assessment of saying, hey, okay, I know what we got. But other guys, they keep progressing.
I know you saw Slavkovsky at the World Championships that year as a 17-year-old. He just turned 18, whatever. You were quite impressed by him.
Oh, yeah. He's strong. He's big. And you see him play lately. I did not watch full game of Montreal, but I'll watch a few periods here and there. And he's taking off now. He's a big man who can make play. He will be a good player. I think I like what Martin Saint-Louis said one day. He said he's going in a really nice destination. He's not there yet, but his destination is a really nice place, and he's just need time to get there. So hey, I like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as people with scouting background, that both of us it's not a us against them. You want them all to prosper, right? I mean, I hope Guhle becomes a great NHLer, and I'm sure he will. And Hab fans have a tendency they'll look at the other guys that they didn't pick and he's doing better. Or, it's their first year in the league and they're teenagers, and you just it's just something that.
Okay, McDavid is really, really good, best player in the world. Okay, perfect. Jack Eichel won the Stanley Cup last year.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. One, you know what I mean, in the sense of there's more than for just one player. If Slavkovsky is the best player in the draft, perfect. As long as Guhle win the Stanley Cup. You know what I mean? You cannot have them all, and as long as you do your thing the right way and you're happy about what you have, that's what should be important.
There's usually more than one good player in a draft class, right?
Oh yeah, they do. Of course, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Andre, it's been great, and why don't you see us off there, Shayne?
Yeah, again, thank you for taking the time. It means a lot, and from the both of us, we wish you guys the best of luck this season. We hope it's an exciting team, so we hope that you make a push and hopefully squeak into the playoffs. That'd be great. All the best, and we know you're going to be in Arizona for a while. That's if they're smart, that is. But all the best, coach, and thank you again for taking the time.
Thank you, Shayne. Thank you, Grant. Thanks a lot for having me. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Thanks. On. Andre Tourigny, head coach of the Arizona Coyotes. Guys, what a show that was! Such great insight, fantastic hockey mind. We hope you enjoyed it. There's going to be more of this to come, right? Hopefully, who knows? Maybe he'll come back. I know there's still lots to talk about. That is a high pedigree. That man.
I only got to about half my questions. Could have kept in 2 hours.
So no, it's very fun. Love these types of things. But Grant, thank you. I was. So for anybody wondering why I wasn't talking much, I was also doing the production, running amazing solo job today. I think that rolled pretty well. And again, thank you to Andre Tourigny. He's a very busy man, obviously trying to get his team to win a cup. So we wish him the best and the Arizona Coyotes. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for liking and subscribing. And don't forget to go check out recruits.ca. Do yourself a favor in doing that. Grant, any final words?
Just that was fantastic. Andre's just he's been there, done that, right? So I could talk to him for hours, and I mean, I have in the past. Like I say, I used to call him when he was the GM coach of Rouyn-Noranda, and I mean, he'd talk for hours, and you always knew I always knew he was gonna make it.
Oh yeah.
And I pushed for him to be when the due date was up on Therrien, I said, the Canadians should hire this guy. When the due date was up on Claude, I said they should hire this guy, and
Arizona beat you too.
I mean, Arizona did it, and I think it's showing that he deserved that NHL shot, and he's making the most of it, because that team, I mean, he was explaining, but geez, he's got them overachieving. Like they've done a quick rebuild or whatever, but he's a fantastic coach and a great guy. So honored to have him on.
Likewise. Yeah, no, that was fantastic. So again, thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you very soon.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Recruits Draftcast on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.